After 20 years of creating sheet formats and document templates, my sudden realization this morning was that I had the process somewhat backwards. So I'm going to try this with a new, going to the default templates, going into the drawing. It'll find the standard sheet formats. We can go ahead and hit OK. I don't want to bring anything in with the model view at this point. So if I go ahead and do the File, Save Sheet Format, and navigate from the default SOLIDWORKS, we could save it here, but notice that it's embedded, Program Files, SOLIDWORKS 2021, Language English. I still think that's just way too deep. And I've mentioned before, if you're in a company that has restricted or permission power user type access, you may not be able to write to those locations anyway. So if I get into my drive, and I've created a folder for the SOLIDWORKS system. And advantage here is if I'm on my desktop, if I'm on my work computer, I can link to this through the Google My Drive, and it will bring up a standard location for those computers. So since I have previously created, let's see if I can spell landscape. So I'm just going to reproduce it and save it. And then the process now is, if you don't have properties, we go to Customize menu, make sure properties is checked. I don't use delete from this menu, so I'm basically just swapping those, unchecking delete, checking properties. So I can go into the properties, and then I'm going to browse back to my location. Well, actually there's another quick access, so I'll use that one. Go into the templates and grab my landscape that I just created. Now that one is active, so we'll apply it. And then under the options, and I'm still not 100% clear which one of these goes to the document template and which one gets saved with the sheet format. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover my bases here. The other one would be sheet format for new sheets. We could also point to that location if they were different. Typically I'm going to try to use just one sheet format, one template for my drawing packages. So sometimes the first sheet may have all of the standards and other information on it, and then the second sheet could be much simplified if that's the way the drawing packages work. All right, so one more save. This is still in sheet 1, but I'm not seeing a file extension. So just to be on the safe side, save sheet format. It has that attached to it. We'll go ahead and overwrite. And then I'll check the properties one more time. Let's see. So same as sheet specified in document properties is unchecked. Custom properties, we only have one sheet. We're in third angle projection, standard scale. Okay, everything looks good. So the test, before we get into actually creating the template, is to go back in, drawing one more time. I'm going to, well, if I added my folder to the sheet format list in the options, it should show up in this list. Since I haven't, we're just going to navigate back to location, grab the landscape, and open it. And then the quick check. Now this is going to look exactly like, because I haven't changed anything, but if I go to its properties, I should see the My Drive extension. All right, so that being a safe bet, I'm going to go ahead and just delete. So hitting the arrow on the sheet, this is my preferred method for deleting, or delete on the keyboard. can delete this sheet, and we'll have it applied to sheet 1. In previous videos, I've managed to get myself flustered and frustrated to where I was adding that browse to the second sheet, and it wasn't really working for me. All right, so if you don't have your filters across the bottom, that is F5 turns those on and off. F6 actually activates and deactivates once you've picked one of these. So I'm going to right click and edit the sheet format, and I've started fresh. I've used the existing for notes and items here. So this time I'm going to do filter for notes, and with the filter on I can window pick everything, grab one of those guys and pull it out. So I've successfully done that. F6 on the keyboard, or turn the funnel off in the lower left, and then we can clear out some of this extra I would say busy type geometry. So let's see, I'm going to link or bring that over to where it finds a coincident. Let's see, I want to make it 10 inches long, and enter will update it. I've left a few over here, so let's go ahead and clean those up. And then I want to check. So this is pretty much one of the only places that I use the parameters. And let's see, if we go 1.4, that looks pretty good. And this is also one of the only places that I use the fix. So by selecting the endpoint, I can fix that location, and it will define, because of the coincident, it defines its position. It doesn't have any over-defining with the coincident on this end. Thing to keep in mind is if you fix the line, the endpoints aren't fixed, and you can still drag it. It won't move up and down, but it can still change length. So next I would like to go to the toolbars. Don't have a lot of screen space, so I'll turn on the line format. And just to do something a little different, we'll go 13.8. That's showing up kind of in more of a gray. We'll double check. That might be the selection that I set. And then maybe a stitch. All right. So again, just a little bit of difference on this particular one. So I always kind of mention that the standards are recommendation. It's your document template, your sheet format, your company's projection of how they want to represent their documents. So you can pretty much create it if it has the standard information and follows the basic rules. Customize it to what you want to do. All right, so now let's go ahead and turn that that line format off. I'm happy with the colors and the stitch, so we can open that screen up a little bit. All right, so I'm gonna grab. Oops, got a one of those hidden little boxes on the verifications. So if I grab all of that and drag it into place, that looks pretty good. One of the problems with the drawing and the drawing number is, and the description is, those are pretty big, and they usually grow quite a bit in the process of naming and putting in the information. So I'll bring the A size over. The rev is a hidden box. There isn't a note there yet, so we'll have to come back to that one. Let's go ahead and grab the tolerance notes. Okay, I don't think those have been populated just yet. Geometric dimensioning and tolerancing, if you're going to use it, put your ASME notation in there. So material is linked to a part that we have not inserted just yet. And the material can get quite a bit bigger on the description as well, so we'll leave a little bit of room there and space that out. If I zoom up, I'm going to be able to position it a little bit better. And maybe the, unless otherwise specified, the UOS can go there. All right, so this is just fine-tuning and going through, deciding what I need, what I don't need. So I'm not going to worry about the proprietary confidential. I'm going to bring the note for the as a maybe. The title and description we'll hold on to, and then that one doesn't have anything in its field. And the checked in approvals we'll hold off on for now. So have a little bit of room over here, and we'll probably have to grow this a little bit once I put the tolerances in. All right, so don't really use fractional, so I'm going to remove the fractional. Angular, let's see, I've got my spacing. I need the symbol for the degree, or angular plus or minus machined 1 degree, and then sheet metal bins. We might add that note afterwards, but probably for sheet metal, 5 degrees seems a little bit much depending on the size, so we'll be a little more generous and go 2 degrees and just kind of see what that does. If the company already has a standard, then we would have that implemented. 2 decimal place, probably somewhere in the 10,000ths. 3 decimal place, standard industry is going to be 5 thousandths. 4 decimal place, just so it's called out. And 4 place decimal. And I'll just go ahead and copy and paste. So if I don't put some other notation on the print, I would say industry is probably half a thousandth, 0.0005. I tend to go plus or minus the thou to have control, but also open it up a little bit. If it's something that's really critical, plus or minus half a thou, plus or minus 2/10 of a thou, I'm going to assign that at the location with the with dimension as a critical dimension. And do not see my do not scale drawing note, so we're going to go with ASME, caps are on, ASME Y14.5-2018 is the latest. And I'm kind of watching the inference lines. And keep in mind that this is, I still consider this an iterative process. No matter how many times I go through, I'm going to find something that doesn't look quite right. It's not working as part of our process. So we want to do something a little bit different and update it. All right, so adding a note, put it in position, and we'll put in the, probably a little bit big there, do not scale drawing, and it defaulted to the 0.14, so let's go down to a 12 point, which should be 1/8 inch. That's still pretty big. 10 point, and I guess everything's an 8 point if that looks pretty close. All right, so I need to escape out of that so it doesn't keep applying that particular note. We'll open that up. Do not scale drawing right next to the scale of 1 to 1. That down. All right, so where the title, drawn by, those come in, Let's see, that one has a link. If I double click on it, no, it's not showing me the properties. That is the current drawing. So I'll double click on it again, get back into this. We'll go to the 8 point. Maybe make that a little bit bigger. And I can make this all one, or I can keep them as separate fields. So the problem would be if I decided to make this a title. Let's go ahead and get out of that. Right click and do a title block field. I'd want to just select that field. I wouldn't want to have any additional text in it. This is probably, since it's in blue, these are linked back to the current document or to the part document, assembly document. So that being the case, I feel pretty confident that I can put this in as the drawing. Need to turn my caps off. So the drawing, that one's still showing up as part of the link, so maybe not. Let's be on the safe side. We'll keep those separate. All right, so back into the annotation, create a note, go for the drawing. We are in the 13 point, and that actually might be pretty good size for, let's see if we do a part number. All right, and some of these are going to require that we have a have the part to work with. Drawing part. I'm just going to Control C since I have those, and Control V. Except I'm not sure where it threw that one when I hit Control V. So sometimes they appear in strange places if not careful. So maybe I didn't get it. All right, so drawn by. And if we wanted to do maybe a modeled by, something along those lines, with that, since these are kind of grouped, we could possibly just do the inner and put in a multi-line for this group, and maybe a drawn date. All right, so we have those to work with. So since I left that at 13, we'll go back up to at least 12. Yep. All right, so at this point we need to have a drawing. Let's see, I didn't use the title and the drawing. And if we want the description, we might put the description in. Going to go looking for any of those hidden blocks. And since I drug everything out, I'm just going to do a quick sweep and make sure it's grabbed. All right, so one more file, save sheet format, and on those we can we could add the title block, and we'll do that in the next video, and we'll also figure out how to link it to the file properties.